to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dana, aka Blondie Knots here on YouTube, and today I have such a fun and exciting video planned for us. This is a video I have been wanting to make for months, and it's finally time. It's finally here, and I'm so excited. So in this video, we are going to be making a designer handbag. I feel like designer brands are really a hot take. You either absolutely love them or you hate them, and there's really no in between. Unfortunately, I am someone who really loves them. I have always loved designer handbag. The thing that has never loved a designer handbag is my checking account. I have never been able to afford a true real designer handbag, and so that is how I got into making my own, so I can have the same feel but without the designer price tag. So today we are going to be making a Louis Vuitton bag. I am so excited to make this. Louis Vuitton is one of my favorite luxury designer brands. I just love everything about them. I feel like they're elegant, classy, timeless, everything. So Louis Vuitton is seriously probably one of my favorite bags, and I have dabbled in some Louis Vuitton stuff. I've made some other bags and a sweater, and so I definitely have played around with Louis Vuitton a little bit. Also this summer we recreated the Miu Miu viral handbag, and you guys seem to really enjoy that video, and so I thought this would be a fun process to take you along for this time now making my winter bag. The biggest comment I got in my Miu Miu bag was that you guys wish I showed you a little bit more on how I put the bag together and stuff like that. So that is really what we're going to focus on in this video. This video is not about making the Louis Vuitton symbol. This video is going to focus on how to elevate your handbags and make them look more luxurious and designer with just crocheting. So we're going to focus on bag structure, lining, we're going to focus on hardware choices, stuff like that. So if that is something that interests you, I hope you stick around and watch the video, or if you just want to see how the bag comes out, I hope you stay along for that too. Before we jump into this video though, I want to put a giant disclaimer here that I do not sell this pattern. I do not sell these bags. This is solely just for me and just to have some fun and see what I can do to freehand something and make it look like something else. I'm just testing myself as a crochet designer, and I want to make that very clear. I don't want anyone thinking I'm running some little shady knockoff Louis Vuitton handbag site where I sell these. No, I don't sell any product that I use a designer logo on or anything like that. They are just for me and just to have fun and recreate and show you how I do so. So that is all that this video is about. So please don't ask me to purchase the pattern or the bag. I do not sell either one. I don't sell anything that is affiliated with any type of designer logo on it. So just wanted to make that very clear. Another really cool thing I wanted to show you and maybe inspire you to try on your own with a different design is how you can take a crochet tapestry piece and turn it into more than just a wall hang. That is one of my favorite ways to utilize a tapestry, is to make it into something else. In this case, we're going to make a handbag and just really giving it a different life besides hanging on the wall, which these are great too, but it's just something different you can do with tapestry. So maybe if you find a tapestry design you really like, this can show you how to transform it into a bag. So that's what we're going to focus on in today's video. We're going to hop right into it. I don't think I have much else to say about it. And yeah, we're going to work up some panels and then we will start making our new designer luxurious handbag. So I will catch you guys in just a second. Okay guys, it's a new day and we are really getting going on this bag. I had to kind of pause yesterday because with the sun going down so early now, I don't like to film at night and show you guys things at night. I think it's too hard to see. So we're just picking up where we left off. But yesterday we finished both the front and back panel of the bag, and I just worked up the side of the bag. Here is what you just saw. So I'm going to explain to you kind of how we're going to do this and how basically it's going. So first of all, I'm using Big Twist Great Value yarn, or not Great Value, just big twist value. I actually really don't mind using acrylic yarn for these projects because it's a little bit sturdier and it's really cost effective. So I actually really kind of like it. It's no big deal for me, but this is my first panel. So when I make these bags, I like to make one way and one the other way. So the other one's black and I actually don't know where I put it. I'll go grab it in a second, but I wanted to show you, basically this is our prototype. So this is the very first bag I ever made, like Louis Vuitton style. So there are some things on here that I don't like, and I'm gonna show you how I did them here, and then we'll look at how I'm gonna do them now and show you how much better it is. So this is the side I'll usually have facing outward, and then this will be the inside. So it's gonna be the same type of deal. I just did a little bit different colors, and this bag now is significantly larger because this one just wasn't quite big enough. So I do like the little bit of an increased size. I do the same design. I really like this design, so I just recreated the same design. And the way I stitched the bag together, we're actually going to do the same way, which is I just push the side panel like I have here and the front panel together, and then I actually put a, what is this? I think this is just single crochet on the outside, so it creates like this border almost, if you can see that. I really like the way that looks, so that we're gonna keep the same. And for the side panel, all I do is make half double crochets in a really long row, enough to fit around the entire bag. So how to do that: after you make your bag panels with your tapestry design, you go ahead and put one border of single crochet around the entire perimeter of the panel. So you'll have some really nice edges to work off of on the side. You know how on tapestry it kind of is raw where you have your turning chains? I like to do just a single crochet border on it, so it really helps kind of close that up and make it just a really nice stitch. So it's a very clear stitch to go into when you are adding your siding on the bag. And then I count how many stitches down here, how many across here, and then how many back up this way. In this case, it came to 128 stitches. So I just made this, then I chained 128, and then I did half double crochet all the way through for 4 rows. So it's a small bag siding, but I do actually like these bags to be a little bit thinner because the other thing we're going to be doing is this snap closure, and I don't like my snap closure to have to pull in too far on the side. So this tends to be a really good width for my bag. And while it is a little bit, you know, thinner maybe than a usual bag, it's about 1 inch. So it's really not too bad. And I don't carry around anything too bulky. Also, the bag has plenty of room this way if it needs to be any larger than that. But making the bag taller actually helps me not need a lot more width, because really all I need to fit is my phone, wallet, something like that. Nothing too crazy, and my keys or something. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to be doing the lining next, which I just did in red this last time. I tried to do a very classic Louis Vuitton color. We're not going to do red today, but I just want to show you what this looks like. Yeah, and then the snap closure is one of my favorite parts of these bags. I tend to find that zippers look very cheap in bags that I make when I'm trying to make them look designer, because I don't have very nice zippers. I don't know where you could find really pretty zippers. If you have any place you get them at, let me know in the comments. But right now I just get my zippers at like Joann's and stuff, and they're just the plastic all-purpose ones, which are great for some projects, but not when I'm trying to make like designer handbags. The biggest thing I also learned while I was making this particular bag is that it does this. So I hate that, because one of the things about designer bags I think I really like is the sturdiness of the bag. So when I would wear this, I would notice that it would shape to whatever part of my body it was on. So if I was wearing this crossbody and it was on my hip, it would really form to my hip and the bag would bow. And then especially if something was in it, it just looked really ugly. So the biggest trick I taught myself when I was trying to make a bag a little bit more sturdy was to buy this little piece of, like, this is plastic mesh. This is actually called, oh, plastic canvas. It adds just enough thickness where it keeps the bag nice and straight and sturdy. So I do have another bag that I made like this in the larger size that I made here with a canvas backing in it, and it is just so good. Like, it makes me want to tear this one up and put this in it because it's just the perfect thing. So this is actually super easy to do. This is a very inexpensive piece of canvas. I think it's about $1 at Michael's or at Joann, whichever one you go to. I like Joann's big twist one better. It's a little bit more sturdy than this one. And also you can get black. So if you're working a black project or something and you're afraid maybe it'll show through, you can get black there. But basically I will insert some clips of what I did last night when it was too dark. But after I finish both of these panels, by the way, here's the black one. So this is our two sides. I love the black with the really light tan. It looks almost white, but not quite. So I think that was a really nice choice. But basically all I did after I finished both of these panels was I took them downstairs, I got out my iron and I ironed them flat just to really make sure every stitch was laying flat, the tapestry was flat, there was no bumps and lumps or anything, just nice and flat. Then I cut this piece of canvas to size, and then I took my E6000 glue, or 600, I can't remember which it is, and I just put a layer on the whole back of the tapestry piece. So on the back side, the wrong side of the work, I applied a layer of E6000 glue and I lay it right on top. You can also see I used a straw to pat it down because I forgot to bring down a popsicle stick with me. I usually will like flatten it with a popsicle stick. And then I put my little chip clips on it and I let it dry for 24 hours just to really make sure it adheres to the yarn. It always does, but you definitely need to make sure you give it plenty of time. And yeah, that has just been my biggest tip for making a bag sturdier and making sure it has some kind of structure to it. I love doing this, and I will take the leftover from the canvas and I will make a thin strip for the bottom of our bag, which I'll show you once we get into that part too. But the biggest thing to note when you are putting a canvas backing on one of your bags is you can see with this one, I cut it too short on purpose because we are gonna still need to sew the liner on at our sewing machine. And if you're hand stitching this, it's not as big of a deal. So you could bring it all the way up to the top if you'd like to. But if you're gonna be using your sewing machine, like I'm gonna show you how to in a minute, sewing in a liner, you're gonna wanna leave a little top section because you don't want your sewing machine to have to go through that, your needle. So I just leave this little, like almost, I don't know, this is what, 1/4 of an inch space, just my last row of the tapestry. I do not go up to that point. And then on the sides, I leave myself just a little bit to make sure I don't glue down my single crochet border and am unable to stitch into it to connect the bag together. So I hope that makes sense. Another great thing I found that I bought just to show you guys is if you can't find the canvas at your store or you can't order on Amazon or something, which they also do have them on Amazon if you need them, I bought this piece of foam. So this is a really thick piece of foam, and I actually fully intended on trying to use this method this time. The reason I didn't is because since we are sewing the liner in still, I don't want there to be like almost a bump between having the bag with this giant piece of foam and then where the liner will come. I feel like it'll kind of, oops, I'm covering it. I feel like it'll kind of bubble over, and I don't know that that'll look the best, but if you needed to use foam, you could use foam too. This piece, like I said, is pretty thick. It doesn't say how thick it is, but it's a pretty sturdy piece of foam. But this is a good alternative for you if maybe you're even putting it a little bit lower in the bag or something like that. I think that would be fine. So now that these had proper amount of time to dry, that's why I did this last night so we could get to working today, we are gonna just start putting the bag together. I'm so excited for this part. Like I said, this is our giant funny looking siding for the bag. You can do the bag sides however you want, but like I said, this just seems to work best for me. So essentially all I'm going to do now is take this and match it up stitch for stitch, and I'm going to top single crochet all the way down here, and then when the bag curves I will single crochet it all, whoops, all attached here, and then back up this side like this until it's perfectly on the bag like that, you can see, and then I'll just do the same thing on the other side. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I am going to leave myself a gap at the bottom here on the other side and not sew all the way through, because to put in our snap closure, I do need to still access the inside of the bag. So I'm gonna leave myself a hole on the other side, and I'll show you that once I get there because it's kind of hard when I'm just explaining it to you. Also, if you didn't wanna have such a raised border like this one does, you could just whip stitch these together, mattress stitch them, whatever you wanna do. Like I said, I just like the structure of having a little bit of the edging on there. I think it looks really nice in my personal opinion, but you connect the bag however you find fit. I will crochet that all together and then we'll come back. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, I'm using a 4mm crochet hook. I feel like it leaves me less gapping. Like this bag really has literally no gaps in it. I just put the liner in because it looks so nice and it looks luxurious. Also, I just love bags with liners in them. So 4mm will prevent you from having holes in your bag if you're using an acrylic yarn. But anyway, I just wanted to mention in case you were going to try to figure out my measurements a little bit with the bags. This is all with a 4mm hook and with a 4-weight yarn. So, okay, let me connect this and then I can explain it better maybe once you're seeing it in real time as we go. Okay, I know that could have been a little bit difficult to see because this is on black yarn, of course, but I did seam the sides together so you can see this is the front of the bag, which this side is completely seamed. I have it all the way, and then you can see, like I told you, I left this side open so that I can access the bag through the bottom to put the snap closure on, which will be important later on. But yeah, this is the bag. I think the only thing I forgot to mention was that make sure when you are seaming it together with the single crochet or whichever stitch you choose to seam them together with. Slip stitch is also a really good option. Make sure you keep your tension as tight as possible because you want this to be as sturdy as possible because it is a seam. So you want it to be nice and sturdy. And also, I think I forgot to mention that on the actual tapestry panel, I only worked it into the back loop. So I left the front loop like you can see here and worked it right into the back loop. I'm showing you this side because it's easier to see on the lighter color yarn. But I did also use the black yarn on this side instead of the tan yarn because if you didn't, you would see stitches where you went in on this side, and I don't want to see that. I don't think it looks as clean as if it just was all black. So I did leave it all black, but yeah, I feel like this looks really nice. It's very much coming together. I'm really excited. I'm also leaving the bottom open because after we put the liner in, I want to be able to add some more of this mesh backing to either the sides if I want or to the bottom of the bag. I want to have that option if I feel like it needs it still. So that's why I leave that bottom open. It just really helps me be able to work inside of the bag when I still need to. But yeah, this is where we're at right now, which is looking very good. So our next step is to weave in all these ends, all my loose ends here. I'm going to weave those all in so they don't get caught up at my sewing machine. And then we're going to sew the liner in, which is hit or miss, honestly. Sometimes it goes really, really well and really easy over there and sometimes not, but there's a couple tricks on the sewing machine I want to show you too. If you're going to hand stitch this because you don't have a sewing machine or you're not confident with your sewing machine, I would suggest just mattress stitching your liner inside. I have done that before and I actually really enjoy doing that, but because of this little technique I want to show you, I'm going to be using the sewing machine for my particular bag here. But anyway, let me weave in those ends and I'll meet you over at the sewing machine and then we'll get right to working on putting the liner in, and then that's kind of it. I'll talk to you about hardware and how to use some elevated looking hardware, and then we have our very own designer handbag ready to go. So yeah, okay, I'll catch you in just a second. Okay, so the ends are all taken care of, at least the ones up by the top, which is where we'll be working right now. So these I'm leaving because obviously I have to finish crocheting this part together. I pulled up a loop so that it would be, you know, it would keep its place. But yeah, that is the only part where the ends are still crazy. But the top is good because that's where we're going to be working now. So now you just need to pick your liner color, whichever color you'd want. As I showed you before, I used red in the past for these bags, but this time I actually had this fabric, which I thought there was some black in this, but there's not, and that's fine. It's just this red plaid, like very much Burberry looking fabric. So this is the piece of fabric I'm going to use. Of course, use whatever you would like. Just make sure it is wide enough and can fit in your project, and you'll always need remember to be working with your fabric, fold it in half because you need 2 sides. That's very important. Don't just cut one side. So make sure, yeah, you fold it in half. And what I need to do is iron this all down so I have a nice flat piece of fabric. I'm going to measure it to my bag, make sure I cut a little bit of seam allowance, and then I'm just going to clip it all into place, and then we'll get to sewing on the machine. The biggest thing on the machine that is important to note is that we are going to be switching our top yarn color and not our bobbin thread. And so what I mean by that is if your bag inside is, let's just take this one for example, if the inside of your bag is red, make sure your bobbin in the bottom of your machine matches the interior of the bag. So in this case, it's going to be red. And so you can see here in this bag, when I sewed this one, I had a red thread to match the red interior so that you couldn't really see it as well as visible, the stitches. And then on the outside, you need to match it to your bag color. So if your bag is all one color, it's very simple because you just need to make sure it matches the outside fabric. But when I made this bag, being this was my first one, I didn't know that yet. So I used a dark brown, which looked amazing on this side because you can't see it at all, and that looks perfect. But then on the other side, you can totally see the darker threads, and that also just doesn't look as nice. I don't know, it bothers me. If it doesn't bother you, it's not a big deal, but if it does bother you, I would suggest changing your top color to match your outside bag color. So I'm going to be using black on this side, and since my colors contrast so much, when I flip to this side of the bag, I'm going to cut my yarns, and then I will switch my top color to tan, and I will keep again the bobbin tan because my interior lining is mostly tan. So again, I'll show you, so if you don't understand what I'm saying, don't worry about it, but we're going to sew that in first and then add the snap closure second, because we want the snap closure to be pretty close to the top. But if you do the snap closure on your fabric first, sometimes your sewing machine won't allow enough room in the foot to sew through your fabric nicely, and I have learned that the hard way. So we're going to sew around it first, and then we will add our snap closure in, and then we can seam up the bottom of the bag. So that's our next step. This can be very challenging in the beginning, so if it's your first time doing a sew-in liner, just be patient with yourself. It is a lot, but it does get a lot easier, I promise. Like this bag compared to the ones I make now, it takes me a lot less time. So that's what we're gonna do now. I'll show you as I go along what that looks like. But yeah, let's get to sewing this liner in, ironing it out, all that good stuff. Also, when you're ironing stuff, make sure you are using a safe heat for your fabrics and iron it on an ironing board. You're not gonna see me doing that, but do as I say, not as I do. So just putting that out there. Also, this is a good time to add in any tags if you have any branding tags, things like that. In this one, I do have a tag in here as well. Yep, see? I add my little logo tag in there. I love having these. It's just my favorite thing. So you'll see me adding that as well as we go. So let's jump into putting this liner in right away. Also, if you're new here and you haven't seen my sewing machine before, I'll give it a little moment so you can take a full look at it and bask in its glory, and then we'll get right into the project. just like that. A liner is sewed in. Just so you know, I did actually tell you the bobbin and thread thing in reverse. So I kept my bobbin all the same color and then changed my top thread just because the way I ended up stitching this, you'll just have to kind of gauge it based on how you stitch yours. So just whatever side the black side is on or the darker side, if you're doing different, make sure that your top thread is the same color as that and then the inside is the same. But anyway, our liner is all sewn in. It looks very nice. You can't see, I mean, you can see a little bit of the black stitching here where we went over, but that's inevitable. And on this side, you can't see it because like I said, we used the tan. Looks really, really nice. By the way, I just used my multi-purpose needle or whichever needle came with my sewing machine. I've actually never changed it. So this is just the needle it came with and it'll work through this just fine. Like I said, that's why we left that little space between the mesh backing and the actual crochet part so that we didn't have any kind of problem getting through that area. So it went through like a breeze, it always does, but I just wanted to mention that. So in case anyone's wondering what I used, I would let you know. So next thing we need to do is address the hardware. So we need to put our snap closure in. This is very easy, especially since we kept the bottom open. I have my little container of closures here, just depending on what color I want. I think I got this off of Amazon, but you can also just get these little snap closures at Joann's, wherever you want. All I'm gonna do is take this, open it up, and you can see it has these little prongs where it goes into the fabric. I'm just gonna make a marking in the exact middle of my bag where I want the closure to go at any part of the bag, any height I mean. So I'll keep mine as close to the top as possible. But yeah, I'll just make a little marker dot to mark where I'm going to place the closure, then pop a little hole for this to go through and close it in, and voila. Then we can seam up the bottom of the bag and we just need to add our little sidings for the for our purse strap, and we're all through, which is super awesome. I also think it's important to try to keep the color of your hardware all the same if you can. I'm using all gold finish hardware for this project, so if you want to use all bronze, all silver, whatever, I just think it's important that it's all the same, whatever you want that to be. And then especially if your bag has a larger bottom or siding on it, you could look into adding little feet to the bottom of the bag. That's very easy too. For this particular style bag, I don't like the look of feet on these, but when I have a bag that maybe has a little more width to it, I like the feet. So it just depends on, first of all, personal preference, and also just your bag size and all that. So I'm gonna add my little snap closure and sew up the side of the bag here. I'm gonna do that off camera just because it's really a quick thing to do, and then I'll come back and we can add the little the side D-rings that I'm going to show you, and then add our strap, which will pull the whole thing together. So I'm really excited to show you that. But anyway, yeah, let's add that really quick and I will be back in just a second. Okay guys, I have the bag all closed up on both sides here. It looks really good, and I have my snap closure added in. So there it is in there. Hopefully you can see okay. I put it about this far from the top. I don't know. I just wing it, to be honest. There's really no rhyme or reason. Here is, again, the inside of the bag, what it looks like with the liner in. It looks so good. I'm so happy with it. I'll be honest, there's some imperfections in the sewing up top. I am not a seamstress. I don't ever claim to be, but I do my best. And so I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks good. Okay, now the last step to this project is getting our strap to stay on the bag. If you really pay close attention to the hardware when it comes to Louis Vuitton or any of the more designer brands, it's just things in the little details that make a difference. So I ordered this one off of either Etsy or Amazon. I get them off one or the other. I've had this honestly for a while, so I'm not sure which site I got this one off of, but either, like I said, Etsy or cheaper on Amazon, I'm sure. These particular clasps on the bag strap are what they tend to use. I don't know if all designer brands use them, but it seems like at least Louis Vuitton really loves these. So I always look for these types of clasps when I'm remaking these bags, just to make them as close as possible and as luxurious as possible. But I did grab this bag strap I have too, just to show you the difference. So this is more of like that almost lobster claw type of clip. And then I can't think of what the other one's called, but I'll put a picture of it here. It looks like this, and that's another type of clip. And it just, I guess it depends on the bag strap you want to use, but when I do straps, I typically try to stick with ones that, you know, look like as close to what they have theirs as possible. I also usually play around with either crossbody bag straps or I go for a shoulder bag. I think that's really cute, but really this is completely personal preference. I just wanted to tell you what I look for when I look for a strap in case you're wondering how I make my choice in hardware. And so they're very easy to find if you're trying to follow that particular route. For how I attach them to the bag, I just use these. I get these ones at Joann's, and these are the ones I always use. These are just little D-rings. These happen to be 1 inch. They have all kinds of size, and they always have silver, bronze, and this gold color. All I have to do is take the side of my bag here. I'm gonna place it here, and I'm going to single crochet over it to attach this to the bag so that it stays. And then once I do that, I'll separate my stitches a little bit and just put a small dab of super glue just to keep the D-ring in place. Otherwise, I do notice it starts to slip, and then sometimes it ends up like this, or it ends up like this, just because it doesn't like to stay in place with just the single crochet stitching. So yeah, a little dab of super glue after, and that will just keep it like that. I'll show you what it'll look like when it's all finished. Oh, and I can show you too. So this one, I didn't put the super glue on. Like I said, this is my first one. So sometimes this happens to it while I'm holding the bag, or it'll just fully go like this, and that's not what I'm looking for. I want it to stay nice and straight. So that's why I add a little dab of super glue. And then once that's done, all we have to do is connect it like this, and we're done. Super simple. Alright guys, I am back home in my cozies because I'll be honest, it's freezing outside today. So my apologies that this is the 3rd time in a row you're seeing me in my Frankenstein hoodie. It's just the way it is. But I thought I would come on here really quick to wrap up all my final thoughts on the Louis Vuitton purse we made. I would love to hear what you guys think of it in the comments. How do you like the way it came out? Are you happy with it? Are you gonna try it yourself? I would love to know what you think. Overall, I'm so happy with this bag. I think it came out perfectly. The structure is good. I tried to show you guys too in the video that it does stand on its own. So it's perfectly stable and sturdy. It's just sturdy enough. I mean, it will bend if you need it to a little bit, but overall it just stays really nice and really structured. The liner came out great. I'm so pleased with the color. By the way, this is all the stuff I had in it from my date night with my husband the other night. We went out, and so I put some stuff in it, and then I had, of course, my phone, stuff like that. But yeah, it looks really good, and I'll take all this out now so we can really look at the inside. Super happy. The liner is just laying perfectly in here. I love the way, of course, the little tag looks. I would highly recommend you looking into getting some tags for your small business if this is something, either one you like to make for yourself, or I like to put them in bags I actually do sell as well. It just really kind of elevates it and adds a little extra special touch. I just get mine off of Etsy. They're called satin tags, and you can customize your logo on them, all that good stuff. I did buy some accessories to put on the bag and then just didn't at the last second because I just felt like it wasn't kind of the perfect match. I don't know. I really had a vision for these in my head, but the hardware colors were just not matching. If you can see, these yellows are pretty different. The ones on the bag are way more gold. On camera, they might show up kind of similar, but I don't know. This could be cute to add to your bag, but it's also just not necessary. I just like to add stuff because it's fun, but I don't know. I wanted you guys to see the bag for what it was without the accessories, so I probably won't add those, but I just wanted to show you that I did have them just in case. I was trying to pull in the red from the plaid, but Anyway, guys, I think I've talked enough in this video, so I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. Don't get discouraged if you do make one and it's a little bit more challenging at first. I have been making these for about 3 years now, on and off, and so every time it just gets easier and easier, and I learn more things that I end up doing. So maybe in a year I'll make an updated version of this, but right now this is what I'm doing when I recreate my designer bags, at least this Louis Vuitton handbag style. So if you guys would be interested in seeing more designer bag videos, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to make some more with you, and even if you don't want to see them, I'll probably end up making them anyway, because like I said, I just have a passion for making myself designer handbags that look and feel luxurious without being an expensive price tag. I feel like we should all get to feel a little bit bougie every now and then, so this is my way to feel that way. Anyway, if you're new here and you feel like sticking around, I would love to have you join my community and subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday and Thursday. Please give this video a huge thumbs up if you liked it. It helps me out so much when you guys like the video. Comment and share this with your other crochet friends who maybe need some tips on elevating their bags. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I will be down there responding to your guys' questions. And yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in next Monday's video. I'm working on a tapestry pattern right now that I thought I was gonna have done to show you guys at the end of this video, but this bag kind of took up all my time, so I don't have it. I will show you my tapestry coming up. It's a fun, cute little project that you might enjoy if you haven't done tapestry before. I also have a tutorial on tapestry if you need some help getting started. It's a great form of crochet and I highly recommend. So other than that, thank you so much for letting me take up a little bit of your time here on the internet, guys. I will see you on Monday and have a wonderful week. Bye.